When you think of a covert narcissist, what comes to your mind? Maybe a soft-spoken person who always plays the victim. Maybe someone who appears fragile, helpless, or overly kind. Someone who says things like, I don't want to be a burden, yet somehow always is. Or someone who claims to be emotionally sensitive, yet leaves you emotionally drained and shattered. That's what most people think about, don't they? They associate covert narcissism with subtle, hidden, and quiet manipulation, self-pity, and martyrdom. And yes, those things are real. But what if I told you that the biggest, clearest, and most damaging sign of a covert narcissist is not their victimhood? No, it is the way they hand you a problem, then reject every solution you offer, how they become a taskmaster. It is the way they act like they need help, like they want your guidance, like you are the only one who can help them, but the moment you try, they shut the door on you. They do not really want your help. They want your servitude. They want your emotional labor. They want to hand you an emotional bomb every morning you wake up and watch you scramble to disarm it. Why? Because they want control. They want control over your time, energy, and ultimately your nervous system. I know this because I have survived a covert narcissistic mother who did this every day of my life, and it was beyond draining. I'm Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. The topic for today's episode is the undeniable sign you're dealing with a covert narcissist, and it's not victimhood. But before we get started, a quick announcement, a reminder. I'm doing a free workshop on thriving after narcissistic abuse on my birthday, which happens to be June 5th. It will happen in 3 chapters, June 5th, 9th, and 12th. 3,000 seats have already been taken. I'm setting the cap at 5,000. Once it hits that, booking closed. So click the link in the description and book your spot right now. Covert narcissists love to present themselves as confused, overwhelmed, or helpless, and they often come to you in this energy. I don't know what to do, or I just feel so stuck, or nothing ever works out for me. At first, this may look like vulnerability, like maybe they're opening up, opposite to overt narcissism, like maybe this is the moment they're finally going to take responsibility and change. Maybe they're not that bad. Maybe they're not that extreme or that rigid, that arrogant, because this is anti-arrogance, isn't it? It gives you hope that they are going to be different, that they are going to change, but they are not. They won't. What they're actually doing is giving you a task, a job, a role without ever saying it out loud. They are casting you as the emotional laborer, the problem solver, the fixer, the one who cares more. And the problem they present is not really a request for help. It may not be even a problem. It's a leash. A leash they'll tug at the moment you try to walk away. You have been there. They tell you they're struggling at work. You sit down, brainstorm, even type out a plan. You tell them they're exhausted and overwhelmed, so you book a therapy session. Offer to go with them, help with the cost. You try to motivate them. You try to comfort them, push them gently forward. And suddenly, what do? They go cold. They pull back. They change the subject. They do not show up. They waste your money. They act like your solution does not quite get it. They may even get irritated, defensive, and dismissive. Why? Because solving the problem was not the point. The point was keeping you hooked. Because the moment the problem is solved, what happens to your role? Think about it. It disappears. You are no longer needed. You are no longer the good one. And that is their deepest fear. Losing the upper hand, they always helping and overextending. So they keep the problem alive by rejecting the solution over and over and over again. This pattern does not just happen once, it repeats, it becomes a rhythm of your relationship with them. And the message it sends deep into your body, into your subconscious is this: your love is measured by how hard you work to fix my chaos, and so you try harder. You become hypervigilant, you walk on eggshells. Why? Because you know they'll rage if you won't, because their silence feels like punishment, because their disappointment makes you feel like you have failed, that you are worth nothing. And every time they bring you a problem, you drop everything. You show up. You give your all. I mean all, only to watch them sigh and say, yeah, but that won't work for me. It is subtle, insidious, and deeply traumatizing. I didn't only grow up in a home filled with shouting or chaos because my father was a malignant narcissist. I also grew up in a home where I was always solving problems that never got solved, where every day felt like an emotional maze. She would come to me with an issue. What kind of issues? Money problems, family drama, health concerns, and I would rush to help. I would research, I would stay up late thinking, I would try to be enough basically, but it did not matter what I did. She always had a reason why it would not work, a way to spin it, reject it, or make me feel like I did not understand her deeply enough. And that is when I realized something that changed everything. She did not want a solution. She wanted submission. Because the moment she accepted my help, the power dynamic would shift. I would feel confident, useful, and capable. And covert narcissists cannot let that happen at any cost. They need you confused. They need you trying. They need you emotionally chasing. Because the moment you realize the game, they lose control. And let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with helping someone you love, okay? The problem begins when helping becomes your identity, when you become a fixer and suffering becomes their weapon. Covert narcissists use their suffering the way overt narcissists use rage, to manipulate, to control, and to center attention. But instead of making you afraid, which my father did, they make you feel guilty. And guilt is a much more effective prison than fear, because guilt turns you into your own warden. You will police yourself, sacrifice yourself, stay small and silent, because you do not want to abandon someone who is in pain. But the truth is, they're not in pain, they're in control. That's the dilemma. And they are using your empathy as a tool to keep it that way. Here is when a covert narcissist starts glitching though, my personal life experience. When you stop giving advice, when you stop fixing, when you say something as simple as, that sounds hard, I hope you find a way through it. Suddenly the energy shifts. They look confused, uncomfortable, maybe even angry, because now the burden is back on them. It's like, what? Role reversal happened. Now they have to take responsibility, and most of all, you are no longer hooked. You are no longer feeding the dynamic. You are no longer available for emotional slavery disguised as compassion. There is one thing I want you to hear loud and clear. The covert narcissist trains you to abandon your own needs like my mother did. You wake up thinking about their problem. You go to sleep replaying conversations, wondering if you said the right thing. You spend your days, nights, even in emotional service, always trying to ease their pain, stabilize their world, or earn their appreciation. But what about your pain? What about your confusion? What about your unmet needs? They vanish because the relationship is not built on reciprocity or mutual care. It's built on proving your worth through what? Performance. And that's not love. That is not closeness. That is not closeness. That, my dear survivor, is emotional slavery disguised in softness. Maybe you are listening to me and thinking, I always feel like I'm not doing enough, or no matter how hard I try, nothing changes. That's a sign. Or I helped them so much, but I still feel like the bad one. Hear me out. You're not failing. You're being played like I was. You're stuck in a loop that was designed to keep you emotionally over-invested. That is the trap. That's what makes a covert narcissist the most dangerous type to deal with. Because the covert narcissist does not want you to recognize this. They do not want a partner. They want a servant who believes they are the problem. So you stay longer and try harder, work more, and every time you do, you give them exactly what they need to keep the game going. The only way out, you stop accepting the task. You stop stepping into the role. You stop trying to solve what they did not want solved. You start watching their behavior instead of their words. You start noticing how every time you step back, they escalate like my mother did. They cry more, dramatic theatrics. Nothing else. They become more helpless. They may even bring up old wounds or try to guilt you by saying things like, I guess no one cares anymore. And in that moment, you don't take the bait. You respond with strength. calmness and with boundaries. You do not abandon them, but you stop abandoning yourself. Understand, you do not abandon them, but by accepting them, you're abandoning yourself. The most undeniable sign of a covert narcissist is not their victimhood. It is the way they keep you emotionally busy without ever letting you succeed. It's the way they hand you a problem because they want power, period. And the only way to take your power back is to stop playing the role. It's not easy, I know. But when you do, they will panic, they will push harder, they will call you selfish, cold, distant, they'll use every weapon in their arsenal. But you are not their slave, that's what you have to accept, and that's what will set you free. And freedom comes at a cost. It feels strange at first when all you have ever known is earning your worth through fixing their life. But the longer you stay free, the more you will realize you were never the problem to begin with. You were just the solution they never ever wanted. I hope you embody that realization deep inside your psyche, in your mind and heart, and you join me in this free workshop where I'll be talking a lot more about these mistakes. I will see you there. Until then, let the healing begin and continue.